Homies. I don't know, it may just be me, but I feel like social media has us all in like a chokehold when it comes to these DIY slash home renovation projects. I feel like we're all like one good reel away from like knocking down a wall, from tearing up the landscaping, adding in a new kitchen sink, tearing down the countertops. Now, don't get me wrong, I love home renovations. I've been doing so many, we, Olu mostly, have been doing so many renovations around our home. As y'all know, we've built this entire house. After building the house, we built a pool. We really did our whole backyard. We did our closets and so many other interior projects. We just did our gym. But before you drive to Home Depot, I wanted to share a lot of our learnings that we gained from our experience during this home renovation season that we've been in, so that you can hopefully learn from some of the lessons that we've learned, save some of the money that we've already spent for you, and really save a lot of the stress that comes with home renovation projects. So get closer, grab your little notepad, and let me share some of the things we've learned. First, let's talk doing DIY projects versus hiring a contractor or a subcontractor to do the work for you. Now, most of the time people do DIY projects to save money, and most of the time people hire subcontractors when they're trying to save time and energy. Now, let me tell you, just because you DIY and do the project yourself does not mean you're going to save money. Hear me with that one. And secondly, just because you hire a subcontractor to do the work for you does not mean it's going to be less stress for you and a seamless process. Man, we learned that the hard way, especially when it comes to working with subcontractors. Now, some of our most annoying projects dealt with working with subcontractors, and we really wished we did it ourselves. Something that's supposed to be seamless and easy and you just hand it off ends up being more stressful because you end up having to manage people. And people are annoying. I don't know if you own a business, if you have employees, if you're on the management level, but if you are, you know that dealing with people can give you a headache. So whenever making the decision between doing DIY and subcontracting, make sure it's a very thoughtful decision. What we've learned is that if the skill level that it takes to do the work is just way above your abilities, it's best to just hire it out. And man, do some research when it comes to hiring it out. Look at reviews in addition to other people's personal experience that you actually know. Both are important because you'd be really surprised how one person that you know can say this person did an excellent job, and then they come to your house to do the work and you're questioning if this is the same company at all. So make sure you look at general reviews, make sure it's a good established company, and then also if you know somebody personally who's used that person or company, ask for their feedback as well too, because you really need to get the tea on that company before you give them your money, because once you give them your money, you're stuck. So if you choose the DIY route and it's within your skill level, then just know that you may make mistakes and it's okay. But that's where not saving as much money as you thought you would save comes into play, because sometimes you just have to redo it. And Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever your nearby store is going to be your next best friend. And I can't tell you how many times Olu and I would go back to the store over and over and over again to get new tools or new supplies on our projects. And we're just like swiping the card. And all that money that we thought we were saving by doing it ourselves starts to kind of narrow in the gap of our savings. Now, however, whenever we've hired subcontractors for our projects, we definitely didn't save money, unlikely. What you're hoping, though, is that with their experience and expertise, the quality will be worth it. Now, that's where the research comes in, because sometimes the quality wasn't worth it. Next thing, these DIY and home renovation projects will test your patience. Just know these things take time. And during that process, there's going to be a lot of messes. Like you may mess up, you may have to redo it, you may have to start it yourself and then hire someone else to help you out, or you may hire someone and like us had to just throw that money away and then hire a new person to do the job. You just never know what's going to happen in your construction project. So make sure you really actually want to do this project, first of all, because I don't know how many times Olu and I have looked at each other and we're just like, oh my gosh, why do we keep putting ourselves in this situation? Like no more projects, because it really does, test your patience. It does test your patience. And you'll be like, why am I so stressed out about a landscaping project? But when 1 week project becomes like a 3-month project, yeah, it'll test your patience, all right. I think the biggest thing that we've learned is if it's a project that they can literally do in a day or half a day, then you probably will have a better experience. But if it's one of those projects where it's a multi-day project, I think that's where a lot of our headaches came into play, because in the construction world, there is very little accountability and communication is terrible. So, oh yes, we said that we're gonna come at 9 a.m. So you took off work or, stayed home and waited around for us and we actually are showing up at noon. Oh, my bad. Nothing you can do about it. We have your money, or you need us to do this project. You need us more than we need you. So you're just gonna, let it slide. I feel like that's what we experience a lot of the times, like waiting around, calling, like, when are you coming? Like projects that were supposed to take a week, taking 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks just because of people not showing up when they said they would. And then people coming and not doing really very much work before they left. So it was very, very, very frustrating process when we dealt with subcontractors, where we were like, man, if this wasn't a complicated project, we really wish we could have just done it ourselves, because we could have just been done with this. And now we have to deal with halfway projects, right? Because it's a multi-day. That's why if it's one day, you're likely going to be okay. But if it's multi-day and another project they're working on happens to come up, or a bigger project, or who knows what happens, but they just don't show up. And it is a headache, because now you have like a mess in your house or your front yard, and you're just like, at some point we were just like begging, like, please come do this project. We'll pay you more. We'll pay you cash. We'll pay you just to do it. So biggest thing we learned is just like, be prepared for it to take way, 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 way longer than anticipated. So just know when you're watching other people do these own projects, you're like, I can do that too. That looks easy. Yeah, they may have edited out that part where they literally almost cussed out their partner. Buyer beware, okay? Because what people say in social media and reviews about things being quick and easy, in reality, it's not always that quick and it's not always that easy. So have some patience with yourself, step away, take a break. It's gonna be okay. Key to a successful home renovation project, whether it's DIY or whether you're hiring a contractor, is having the right tools. Now, let me make a disclaimer. because this note, you're probably looking at me like, how do you know this? Yeah, this note came from Olu himself. I know I'm the cheerleader, the one with the camera, and the one who's sitting in the back while Olu does the work. So let me give him his credit. This note came from Olu, okay? That if you want to have a successful project, especially if you're doing a DIY, make sure you have the right tools. Now, it sounds easy enough, but oftentimes you don't realize you do not have the right tools until you're knee deep into the project. And that oftentimes happens whenever you use the tools provided by like the manufacturer. Whenever you buy something online, they give you everything you need. I can't tell you how many times, especially when Olu was doing the gym, where he looked on the reviews or looked on the, did more digging on YouTube about how to put together this particular item. And he learned that the tools the manufacturer provides are trash. Go to Home Depot and buy your own. And once he did that, man, things were seamless, literally seamless. So you just be really surprised. And even like you'd be surprised whenever you are working with subcontractors and you're recognizing that they're not even using tools that they should. For example, when we were doing our backyard, Olu noticed that in order to level the ground, especially because when they were doing the putt-putt area, that the contractors were not using a leveler. Like they were just like using their eyes to like see if the ground was leveled properly. And so Olu went and got his leveler and he's like, why aren't y'all using a leveler so you can make sure that this is done correctly? And they were acting like they've never used a leveler before, which is crazy because they may not have, and they may have done your project or your friend's projects and they did not level it. And you're wondering why you have rain sitting on your yard. It's because they didn't level it. They used their eyes. So if you want your project done right, make sure you're using the right tools and make sure the people doing the work are also using the right tools, because sometimes it may just be easier, quicker to like not pull out that tool, and then you're gonna have to deal with the headache later. So that is key. And if it's a tool that you will likely use more than once, or maybe even a friend will likely need to use, like we tend to try to just buy it, especially if it's not super expensive. And then if it's a tool you're just definitely not going to use again and it's kind of expensive and it's cheaper to rent, we'll just rent it. Like usually Home Depot, you can rent a lot of like the bigger tools, especially because we're not trying to deal with all that storage. And so that's something to definitely keep in mind, like renting your tools versus buying your tools. But definitely have like the staple toolkit. I can't list what they are, screwdrivers, all that good stuff, drills, a leveler. Make sure to have all those stuff because you're going to definitely need it, especially if you're hanging pictures. Definitely get that leveler. Let's stop using our eyes because it's looking a little lopsided. But definitely don't cheapen out. Get the right tools to start with if you can. And if you realize things aren't going right, check to see if your tools are the right ones, because it can definitely help make your projects so much more seamless. As you've seen in our home projects that we've shared with you, and some we haven't shared with you, is that there are a lot of ups and downs when it comes to the DIY and home renovation projects. And like, it's just all over social media. People love it. I know our videos, people love to see them. And it's great to do, but it's even better when it's done. So I'm hoping that this video provided you with some good information to help you at least learn from some of the mistakes and some of the experience we've had when doing our projects and home renovation. I mean, that's the biggest reasons we love to share our videos, because we hope the things we go through can keep you from going through them as well. Or, if they went well, to, bring you along on that path. Because man, we've experienced a lot when it comes to renovating this home. Good, bad, discriminatory, disrespectful, especially as young Black adults. And so we just wanted to share our journey with you. So hopefully this is helpful. As always, thank you for joining, and make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can continue to follow along on our journey when it comes to our home, our travels, and everything in between. See See you soon.